final topic for the day before we hit the weekly wrap up, one that pissed John off, and that is...
Yeah, you trying to irritate me again, aren't you?
I am trying to irritate you. I'm trying to get under your skin today. Tipping in gaming. This was an article I saw popped up. It was it spawned from former Blizzard president Mike Ybarra. Recently talked about how he would like to see the option to like tip in games, tip the devs for just an amazing game. So like for him the way he put it is like yeah, I paid $70 for a game, but sometimes there's just games that are just so good and so above and beyond the experience that I was like, man, I just want to give them an extra 10 or 20 bucks. All right, must be nice, friend. But is this something that should ever even be considered in gaming? No.
Does anybody have anything nice to say about this?
No.
I mean, that's legitimately just another microtransaction, something that the gaming community already absolutely despises.
Yes.
I mean, when I first saw this, I was like, explain this more thoroughly to me. Because, I mean, in no point do I see a large majority of gamers being like, yes, this is a good idea. Are there going to be those others who are going to think like Mike and be like, yeah, I would give a little bit more for this amazing game I've played. Mm-hmm. But they are going to be in the large minority. I mean, a large minority.
Yep.
Because most gamers in point are like, I've bought the game.
That's my tip.
Why do I need to buy more?
That's my tip. I bought the game.
We've barely gotten to a point where people are accepting that DLC. People still hate DLC.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that in the weekly wrap-up here in a minute, too, with one particular game coming out this year.
I was going to say, you know what like really pissed me off about this is? The attitude is, oh, we made a great game. You should give us a little bit of extra money. It's like, that just implies that the goal is not to make a fucking great game.
Yeah.
The goal is to just ship something out. They don't give a shit. If they want, like, they think we need an incentive to make something better. No, it's like, because we've talked about it multiple times. Look at the quality of games that have come out from smaller studios, indie developers that get massive community support. Because what did they do? They made a great fucking game. And a lot of time, their game is cheaper. People don't mind. Yeah, if you have some sort of microtransaction in the game, even if it's not like mandatory. Think of Helldivers. Helldivers has the option to buy stuff in the game. Yeah. You could also just play the game, grind it out, earn all of that stuff.
Or here's like Gigantic, which I've been playing, is you buy the game, all the skins and whatnot you can unlock for the characters is all in-game currency. There is no microtransactions. Everything is done through in-game. Once you pay that I think it's actually $30
I don't remember.
For the game, you got it. It's all there. And they're at this point in time, all updates for future maps and characters they've said is going to be free, and there is no DLC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the idea that, like, that in his mind, oh yeah, they actually made a good game. It all you're saying is nobody makes great games anymore, and that the few standouts should be given a little bit extra. It's like, hell, all of the games we have right now, the price is already continually increasing. People are already having to shell out more money than they ever have for games. It's like, what's the point of being like, okay, well, we're going to make a great game, but we want you to give us a little bit of extra money, or we'd like you to give us a little extra money. It's like, no, just make a fucking good game. That's what your job is. And he's like, oh, I'd like to be able to give the developers some more money. What? That just implies that you're not paying your developers enough.
Yeah.
This is an ex-president. It's like, oh yeah, I'd like to see them get paid more. That's your fucking call, buddy. Or that was your call. You're the one who made the decision not to.
And also, like, when it comes to the idea, and look, I understand, like, he meant it, like, in a passing way, but it did sparked up some convo. But, like, I look at it from, a $70 game that was an absolute banger. So my first thought is, like, something like a God of War Ragnarok. If I tip, like, $10, that's not going to the damn devs. Let's be honest. It's $10 for how big of a dev team? So they all get, what, like 5 cents? Woo, great tip. Now, I could see a realm where it's like, I'm not against, like, maybe tipping, like, a literal small indie creator if they have, like, one of them. I forgot the name of the site. Like, the tagline for it's always like buy me a coffee. It's like Ko-fi or something like that. It's kind of similar to a Patreon, but it's not like a monthly thing. You can just go in and literally just tip them some money. Different small creators will have something like that. I could get behind something like that. I can get behind being a patron for an indie creator. That's fine. But like, tipping something like if me trying to tip Red Dead Redemption 2 or tip Sony Santa Monica for God of War, Insomniac for Spider-Man, it's just like, oh boy, I tipped $10. Every dev gets 3 cents. It's like, all right.
Well, it's like indie developers are the one place that something like this, in a way, would make sense.
Yeah.
But even then, a lot of times, an indie developer will put their game out in early access for free.
Yep.
And then as people play it and they see it get some support, they're like, do you guys, a lot of times you'll see a post, it's like, hey, the final product of this game I'm gonna have to charge people for, so you're gonna have to pay for it.
Yep.
And then it's like you see people jumping in there going, dude, I'd pay $40 for this game. Or it's like I'd pay like X amount for the game. And it's like, that's the thing, is you make a great game and people aren't gonna worry about like paying whatever price for it.
Yep.
You got to start with the good game. You can't just make a game and then go, hey, this one's great. Y'all want to send some extra money over? Or like have the attitude of like that should be something that's thought about. It's like, no, what should be thought about is just make good games, and you make good games, you're gonna sell more games. It's like that's what we've seen in the past couple years.
I mean, the biggest thing with what we've been seeing over the last year is just the games coming out not fully bug fixed and whatnot.
Yeah,
We're just constantly having issues right off the bat. I mean,
Yep.
developers, if we got back to a spot where games came out at least in a partial working order without a huge bug right off the bat, that would be a heck of a thing that people might even consider tipping if this was a thing.
Right. Because I know that's one thing John always bitches about. It's like games just coming out as a mess, especially those PC ports.
Well, it's the thing of like it's the same attitude. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like we'll just release something and fix it later. We're gonna sell it anyway.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but then you just have a bunch of bad will, and then you look at the few examples we've had. It's like you look at Helldivers, you look at Lethal Company. It's like these games have blown up with community support behind them, and that. Hell, you want to look at an example of a big, like a giant project released that was no additional charges, no additional anything. Every update has been free. Massive project. Scared, like, before it came out, scared the shit out of people. Baldur's Gate 3, released with, like,
Minimal bugs.
it's like there's bugs. That's like when they do a patch, it's a fucking giant list of bugs. No one gives a shit because the game is so good.
Yep.
It's like I don't mean to always bring it up or like Baldur's Gate 3 up, but it's in a sea of like AAA games that come out and are full of bugs. It's the same template over and over again with a new coat of paint on it. It's the same garbage that we get every year. We got something genuinely amazing, and it showed. It's like it like think of all the records it broke.
Yeah, I know. Which I have that weekly wrap up for you.
But it's like, yeah, just the idea of especially an ex-president of a company being like, yeah, I'd love to be able to tip. Yeah, sure. You play a game. You send your extra $10-$20 over.
Hey, you probably know some of these people by name. You could probably send them a tip if you really want to.
Yes, you probably got their cash out, buddy. Go ahead and send it over.
Yeah, it's like good for you. Do not try to put that in the gaming culture.
Yeah, please don't.